Thank you. Before we begin the message, Karyn wishes everyone to feel their rear ends comfortably into their seat in the group shield because she would like you to know who all is present with you and her and Emma, of course. She there's a whole bunch of children, young and old children, young and young adults, lots of them. And she said many of them are from the prayer circle that you have prayed for. And she said they were all there for her when she was welcomed over. So she wishes you all to know that they have joined this group today to be supportive and wishing every parent who is missing their child has a sense of their presence today with them. So, because she said there's so many here with her. The other thing is she's wishing you to know is that she has brought with her the mediums, Leslie Flint
Mm.
and Ruth Cannon. And there's another one here. Oh, geez, of course. Estelle Roberts and Red Cloud. Geez, why I couldn't see that. She's laughing at me, but she wants you to know that this is a powerhouse here that's come, and so that not only will she be answering the questions, it will be a collective answering the questions because there are questions, she said, that are greater than her respective advancement at this point, and that there are others there who will be able to help with those questions a little easier. So, last one she said is here is Michael Flagg is also present as well. So that's very interesting. I don't know that one. Anyway, uh, so just so all of you know that those are the ones that are present here. They will be working with both Jeanne and I, as well as all these incredible children. And she has 5 souls with her that are newly departed, but they're in a healing room nearby. And they have recently left due to the floods there in Australia. She said there are others who are on the edge, but she's got these 5 souls with her. So she just wants you to know that, to acknowledge that, and that she's still doing some rescue work, is what she says. So I will back out now because she's getting prepared to come through on Jeanne for this.
All right. The first group of questions, excuse me, is about her transition. And the first one is, it's been a year since you left Earth. How long does it seem to you?
A second, a moment, no time. It just happened. It just happened. I can feel my last breath even still.
Mm.
And yet, what breath? I can't even remember being human, yet I can feel it.
Mm.
They say that there's an amnesia when we come into the body,
Mm.
but the closer we are to understanding transitions and accepting that we transition, which I had come to that point for sure, the amnesia works the other way as well. We
Mm.
take our personality, we take our individual essence, we take our spirit with us, of course. We take all of those things, just not the body. So we get to drop that facade if we want as soon as possible. And for me, I needed to drop it immediately. My lungs were very, very incapacitated. And there were other things I had wished to drop, but I only could drop those until I had admitted to them, kind of like an alcoholic. You got to admit certain things before you can let them go. So now it was a moment ago, a second ago, a fraction of an instant ago that I left. But so much has happened since then. So when Wendy says, I can't believe it's already been a year, I can't believe it's already been a year.
Mm.
We have a marking of time if we choose to, because some of us are still so close to the earth plane and all of the events of our humanness, our body and everything else, that we have a tendency to have that program. We don't all have that amnesia, as I was just saying, coming into this world. Some of us, are still so close to the earth that they don't let it go as fast as others. And for me, I didn't want anything more to do with the earth. I just wanted to be with Emma.
Mm.
So for me, being with Emma, that's my time. That's the be, that's the now. And now that I know that I didn't ever lose her, really, the way I felt I lost her, I, there's no time. It just things
Mhm.
just exist. And everything you do is for the existence of the moment and to experience that love and to experience the growth that in that very, very moment.
Mhm.
Is not even a moment, doesn't even make sense here.
I can go on to the next question if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. How much do you remember? I mean, you've partly answered this, but how much do you remember of your illness and interactions with people while you were alive?
Oh, that's a big question. I think I would put it in these terms to you all, Dan, from what I'm feeling Karyn saying is that she goes, I was a very proud person. And she said, I wasn't very proud that I was very proud, but I was a very proud person. I was opinionated, forceful, direct, and I didn't want any bullshit about, oh, poor Karyn. Um, as I had a smaller conversation, well, actually a very large conversation with Wendy and Regina a few weeks ago, um, I shared how through them how as much as I was accepting the healing from everyone, and as much as I was so grateful for everybody's prayers and all of the energy they put into my well-being, there was a part of me that wanted to leave for a long time. And I had a hard time admitting that, but knew it was part of my progression and my own expansion to find out about all these aspects of myself. And one of them was mainly because of the loss of Emma. It just takes something out of a mother's heart. And I know there's a few women here who understand that. I didn't let it drive me in my pursuit of understanding and spiritual awakening, but it certainly was a component. And I remember blessed moments from healers when I expressed to them directly at the time what I saw, what I felt, what I experienced. Um, but I was conflicted, as I think anybody is who has a chronic and a fatal potential, in terms of how well I received it and how well integrated all of the healing energy was. And I'm glad that that is a question that has come up because we need to understand we have different aspects from different parts of ourselves. And so when the healing comes to us from energy sources, healers, just treatments, whatever, are all of our parts receiving it? Are we all of our parts integrated and receiving the healing, or do we still have parts of ourselves that are fragmented and, for whatever reasons, uh, do not receive it, do not accept it? From my point of view, I had the most incredible experiences with so many of you that said healing, and I would like to share that from my vantage point now, when I watch the healing work that is done by so many of you, even if it is just in a conversation, it doesn't have to be an attended healing session. It could be in conversation with a friend. She said the light and the energy that you emanate is just as an incredible high that I see from where I am back into the thickness and the sloppiness of the earth's vibration. And yet the light still shows itself, especially if you're trained to be sensitive to it. But over here, you don't have to have that training because there's just the senses just become alive over here if you wish to participate. It's just that allowing that allows everything to flow and you have this experience or a series of experiences. The moment that I transitioned out of my body, it was like because the first time I could breathe without anything holding me back. And it sounds so counter because here I was leaving my body, and yet I was taking my first breath and felt that I could finally breathe. And I kind of went through the psychedelic tunnel, if you will. It wasn't just the light, it was the psychedelic kaleidoscopic tunnel that I went through. And I felt like it was this huge cosmic MRI machine. And as I went through it, I was pummeled with this healing energy. And I felt like everything was like my clothes were taken off me, like everything was taken off of me, so that I could be this newborn on the other side. And I could finally breathe. And I've been thinking about how to put the words into Jean's mouth or put the words into Regina's mouth is to try to give a description for it because it's just hard to do. So I don't know how well that answers the question, but that's what I can share with you today.
Wow. Okay, this you've Karyn, you've already answered some of the questions I have here on the list, but this one is interesting. We know you had a long and painful illness. Did you have to spend any time in a spirit hospital?
No, no spirit hospital for me. I was not going to walk into a spirit hospital, even if they wanted me to. I said no. I said no, no, no. And that didn't go over very well, frankly. Um, how do I say this? Well, it was an intervention. I had an intervention. They sat me down and said I couldn't go forward unless I really listened. And the listening wasn't what I wanted to hear because it meant I had to do some reflection. And so if you wish to think that a spirit hospital, quote unquote, is that life review, well, yeah, I went through that, not willingly, because I felt like I had paid the price of living so much longer after Emma died that I didn't have to go through any life review. But I didn't realize what all that meant. I only understood it to be what I had read about life reviews and what other individuals had brought forward to me. But a life review not only is about the shitty things we do and what we've done to other people or how we've made them feel, but it's the shitty things we've done to ourselves by our stubbornness, our arrogance, our fear, anger. And then once you get past all those things and say, oh, yeah, that was me. Yeah, well, I didn't want to admit that. That was really hard. And I saw my rudeness and I saw my funness too. And that was the best part, because then with the life review, it also brought in all of the incredible, joyful things I've done, the wonderful things I've brought to other people. And at that point is when, this is when all the children were involved. They came forward dragging, in a way, but not really, like Pied Pipers, all the animals in my life. All of the monkeys I liked. The roos, the all the dogs and the cats, and the poor things that I kept thinking, oh, somebody needs to take you home and treat you better, and that would be me. And I knew I couldn't take every animal home. I'd be a cat lady. I couldn't do that. But that's when the life review turned beautiful and rewarding. And what was really a blessing is you have to have the bad to feel the good, even on that side. And that bad is what our earthly would be, our shadows and stuff like that. But we have to see where we've grown. We have to experience who we were and who we became and who we are. If we don't, we have not really understood all the transitions that we go through. So, a hospital, no. Life review, yeah, it was it. Kicking and screaming, but it was worth it, because now I can be here, because they weren't going to allow me talking to the group until I had made it through the other stuff. So thank you.
So you're saying the other side as if you regard the other side as where you have reached now. And
So
that
you
when you're in
understand
transit,
yeah, the other side is, so you understand that I'm here on the other side, but it's not. I'm right here in the room. I could spit on you. I won't do that, but I could.
well, that might be fun. Anyway,
Oh no, I could
that-
tap Wendy's hair right now. I could play with Lloyd's glasses. I could do whatever I want if I really, really want to bug you guys. I'm right here. That's the whole thing, is there really is no other side. But it's the only way for everybody to understand this or that, because we all have that wonderful thing in front of our face. It says, oh no, I can't see anything further. But we can see everything further.
wow. I'm going to read from the next batch of questions, which is the heading is Your Current Life. What do you look like now? I assume that you would add to that question, to whom? So I guess, is there an answer to that?
Karen's like, oh, that's so cheeky. It's like, she goes, well, what do you want me to look like? I mean, I could be Diana Ross. I could be Marilyn Monroe. You want me to be Arnold Schwarzenegger? Um, Karen goes, I'm me. I'm me. She says, I know there's this talk about, oh, spirits come in their younger years because they were nicer looking and not hard on the eyes. And she said, but I never gave much attention to how I looked anyway. And so to have that question asked, she just finds that very titillating. From Jeannie touching in her energy and how she reveals herself to me, she's a similar age, um, because in many ways she was comfortable with who she was in spite of having the dis-ease. And she said, I just haven't really paid too much attention to how I look. But she said, the interesting thing is when I hang out with the younger people, I do find that I look a lot younger. And if I hung out with the older people, I look a lot older. She said, I tend to be a chameleon and morph into the perspective of age of those that I'm with. And I want to answer that about body and about type and about form. And she said there's all sorts of information out there, and everybody's perspective can be a little different about, shape, and do we take on the body, or are we just light and sound, or just energy flowing. And she said it really depends on where you are vibrationally, how you choose to present yourself. So in other words, when I'm hanging out with Emma, at first we were like mother and daughter in terms of how we were hanging out with each other and how we saw each other. But over the last few months, we've changed and we know who we are vibrationally. So we don't necessarily have to hold the same image of looking like, my daughter, or looking like her mother to her. And we can try different things on, or we could just be shaped more than specific, for you guys, because I'm working with both Regina and Jeannie. She says, I just bring my essence with the imprinting of information. So what they're getting from me is essence, because being actually coming in through the body is very taxing, and they don't need that because they read me so well. They can just participate with the essence, and that's why I can do medium hopping, and I didn't say shopping, I said hopping, but there is this desire in the earth world to be able to understand uh, how things look. I think in order just to sort and classify as to what to expect, and it just varies upon what you want to do. I mean, there are vibrational areas aside from your human form where they're very structured, like you would think it's another world, but it is not. There are other worlds that are very structured, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those people who are still in this system of energy. And that's a whole nother Sethian explanation. But for right now, I I just still relate to being Karyn. And I just, if I were to manifest in a physical mediumship situation, I would, of course, present myself as I was known in the last 10 years so that you would know it was me. But we just have fun with shapes and form, and it's kind of like that Harry Potter thing when the kids would take the pills, they turn into different shapes or polyjuice or whatever it was, and they would be a jackal, or they'd be a pig or whatever, because they took the potion. And it's not that we spend our Saturday nights playing who am I, you know guess who I am by the shape I am. But it's almost, and I mean this with kindness, kind of nonsensical, um, because we still are, so our essence is still here because we're still around this earth plane. And so basically we're still who we are. But then there are times when we do move out of this particular realm and we go into other forms of ourselves, especially those who understand and know how to do that. And we go into, we're like tourists, and we'll take groups of us into certain other reality worlds. I'm trying not to use the word dimension because it really doesn't appropriately explain it. But it's like you go up on the 29th floor of a building and you get off and you explore it, and you have enough of that, and then you get in the elevator and you go on to the 150th floor and you explore what's there. And it's I'd have to take you there energetically. I would have to sit you in meditation and take you on a journey for you to have the experience of what it's like. And I know from experience that many of you have had your own experiences with how a body changes into energy, or has recognized his energy and morphs itself. The thing that I would like to say the most, because what we see over here is less form and more essence. But we remember and feel that essence tactily, so it's a tactile experience. It's like Emma may not come to me looking like she did at 15, but I could feel her vibration, and so as a consequence of that, I would, oh, that's Emma. I feel her energy, her essence. And she could walk into the room looking like Genghis Khan, but I would know it was her because of her imprinting of her essence.
Mhm.
And so sometimes we play games, you play charades and you try to guess the names of different things, and we said, guess the spirit. But we do a lot of stupid stuff over here. Actually, we have so much fun, it's indecent. We really do. And there's a certain joy that I hope that you can feel today that transcends any kind of difficulties of human form, because we are just our essence, and we put ourselves in each of our bodies that we've chosen, and we work with them as best we can. But we are so much more essence than anything. And I'm hoping that's one of the things that you can come away with in this chat today. And somebody wrote to me, and I got to look at it.
So, shall we go on?
I would like to add to that, as Jeanne is looking at whatever she's doing there. But Karyn brought up something in my on me, and she regarding how we see things or how we feel these essences or how our bodies are change on the other side or how we experience them on the other side or this side after the transition. On Wednesday, I had to put my huge, beautiful dog down of 14 years. And he was a lifesaver for me. This is me. And normally, when I've had to put an animal to sleep, they've appeared instantly in my car or in my house, brush against my legs. And I was just, it was a unexpected event of having to let him go. And as I was driving home, my vision got very, like, I could see and everything, but it was just very white. So I had to pull over to the side of the road, and I could see my dog in this cloud-like formation of this white. It was very interesting. And my dog literally was standing there, just young, just very healthy. And this is a big 95-pounder. And while he was standing there, I watched a being stand up out of him, almost human being, just a form. And I realized it was just a form of energy and light. And it was Roscoe, my dog, but and then his skin, the dog's skin, just dropped to the ground and dissipated. And this essence of Roscoe put its arms, is all I could say, because it was just all like a celestial, what we think of celestial, put its arms up over his head and created a column of energy straight up, and without acknowledging me seeing this, just went right on up. And as Jeanne is sharing what Karyn is saying, Karyn is telling me this is how all our animals leave. This is how our animals leave, but we are so attached to the form of who they are that we continue to feel their energy as a dog or a cat or a goldfish or a bird or however you last experienced it. So And she wants Gary to know the bear did the same thing. Even though you feel bear in the house, that bear's energy became this. And I only want to say human only because it had arms and legs, and that's just the way I interpreted it. Arms, legs, and a head and a body, but the way it stood up. And she's telling me right now, people always say, I mean, I've heard, oh, you don't want to come back as a dog, or you don't want to come back as a cow, or, and I flashed, and she said, but why not as a cow, especially as a revered cow? Why not as a dog? If you choose the right family, you will be loved better than a human. You will be able to share that love for the human better than anybody else could. And oh my gosh, and Roscoe has literally saved my life 3 times, physically saved my life. So to know this and to hear what Karyn was saying through Jeanne just now regarding changing shape, and then to feel her showing the same image again of Roscoe, and then telling me that bear is this way and the cats are this way and stuff. And sure, we have ornery cats, but those are energy beings that have come into, they're just as sacred as you and I. And that's what she's trying to tell us. The monkeys that are in the temples that are throwing things at people are just as sacred as the people that are going into the temple. But they're here to have this existence, this choice of lifestyle, and permanence in this earthly format, this earth system. So yeah, I wanted to share this because it just came flooding through right now, and she's hoping that by this conversation that we're saying that it helps you to understand how important it is that we don't project what that person is once they've transitioned, that we allow them to be as fully developed an energy of unconditional love and light as they're moving forward in their own hierarchy, and not just to keep them as a child, as she did, and not just to keep them as a cat or a dog or a goldfish or a monkey or a kangaroo. Just allow the essence to be, when it passes, a full engaged essence.
And this are 2 questions about whom you've met. Have you met the Challenger and Columbia astronauts? Have you met any of the people from the Leslie Flint tapes that you transcribed?
Definitely to the astronauts and the Challenger and the Columbia crew, and some of the others as well.
Yes, we had talked earlier when Wendy and Regina and I were talking privately, and Karyn had very much she had very much wanted to speak to everybody that was involved, because she was, in her paraphrasing words, she was very impressed with the volume of work that Regina and I had been a part of with the Challenger communication. And so one of her first things that she wanted to see, and I'm just telling you what I experienced before while she's gathering herself, was that she really wanted to meet up with these people. Was it really the way we shared it to be? And so she not only met up with the astronauts from the Challenger crew, but she also met up with some from the Columbia and others, plus the scientists that studied us at FMBR, which was Bob Shacklett and Bill Goff and Marshall Pease and some others. And what she shared with Wendy and I and Regina, which I know Wendy can confirm, was how much of a miracle it was that we were even here, considering the lengths that certain agencies were going to destroy us. And we always knew that it was pretty touch and go, but we didn't quite realize how it was. in terms of the magnitude of it. And Karyn really wanted us to know, and honor us. And I'm not trying to blow our horn, but when you ask for, did she meet them? This is her experience. Was her experience. And when they told her things, I guess we didn't even know that they have since found out on the other side. But she's kind of back online now, and she said, what's interesting is that just because I wanted to meet people didn't mean I got to meet people, because everybody has their own space and time and how they progressed. And some of them are not available, because they are no longer who they were when they were in the body. She said, but I have been able to meet almost everyone that I worked with, or studied or looked into, who has progressed and has left their bodies. And she said, it's so much more than we have time for today. She said, but what it really teaches me is that there is an absolute plan and a continuity for our lives in the human body, in the human form. It's this wonderful place where even in the chaos, there is order. And she said, that's one of the messages that I wanted to bring through today, was the fact that in the chaos, there is order, especially amongst those who have taken a lot of time to choose the bodies that they were coming into, the circles of people they would be connecting with, the opportunities that would be created, etc. And she said I could go on and on, but there's more questions and we're getting late in that. But yes, I have met with these people and they've continued to teach me and teach me more.
Thank you. Another question. What do you do in your leisure time?
I don't think she has leisure time. Regina, you're there you go.
Lots of fun. She says we sit around and tell jokes. I know that sounds funny, but she says, but they're jokes that you wouldn't get. Um, she has met some of the comedians over there that we know, but her leisure time, she says, I spend a lot of time in my homeland in Australia. And I spend a lot of time sitting, she said, near the fires of the Aboriginals. And I have been listening to their stories because their stories are timeless. And I realize how reflective they are of where we are when we're without a body. Trying to figure out some that I could share with you, but she speaks of the different animals a lot, and not she's not speaking. That's what she's sharing with me of that there's her. I just can't believe her love for animals. Number one, that's me talking, but she talks about their guidance system, the Aboriginals, and she says, are completely guided by everything natural. And all of by the animals, by the stars, by the water, by the weather, the wind, everything. And even though she knew that and had read about all this, to see it being passed down by their songs, by their music, by their dance, and just by their conversation and guidance from one generation to the other. She goes, she spent a lot of time traveling, but never did she really experience quite like this, because she was this white girl basically. And it's hard to infiltrate a very private ceremony. So she says, so she spends a lot of time, and in leisure, that would be her leisure. She said, that's my pleasure, because I was a researcher. I always loved to see how people interacted. But she says, now I'm interacting in a very different level of vibration. But these retelling of information, is the way they do it, is very similar to how it's done. There's so much transpired by thought, just like they listen to the wind. The wind is speaking to them. They listen to the trees. The trees are speaking to them. The animals speak to them. The ground speaks to them. They put their hand on the ground. She said, but why don't most of us, why don't most humans do this? Why are there very few humans left who actually communicate and listen? And so she realizes that she's part of that group that never listened, not never, but listened less than she could have. And so this is not only is it something that she does in leisure, but it's also something that she does as a resource of learning. I don't know if that helps you at all, but that's what I'm getting from her. She's speaking this whole explanation is all spoken with pictures and feelings. So I'm trying to describe it with words, and it's so limiting. It's just very limiting what she's trying to share with me or to you. And I apologize if it sounds like I'm just ranting. Go ahead.
The next questions are about children. I'll put them all together and see which one comes up for you. Have you met any of the children from the Prayer Registry? Do any of the children have a specific message for their parents? What is the most comforting and reassuring message you have for bereaved parents left here? And did you and other parents we have some pre-birth arrangement with our child or children for them to depart this life before us for the purposes of spiritual advancement?
Yes, I would like to answer some of that. The message for parents that the children want their parents to know is that we never die. That I'm right here. I'm right next to you, mom or dad. Yes, there was for most of them, not all, but for most of them, there was a pre-arrangement that they would not be there for the length of time that you would think of, that they would normally be there. A lot of it was karma, certain choices. Sometimes it was a completion life. They only needed to be in for 10 years or 6 years or whatever it happened to be. Sometimes it was a choice on the part of the child because things weren't aligning the way they wanted the alignment to go, especially with teenagers and young adults. There's just a lot of reasons why children had illnesses or were taken out in an accident or the various opportunities for leaving the body. But there was always a purpose, whether it was one that we could accept or not as parents. And we all choose our time of leaving. Whether we die of cancer or a heart attack or in an accident, we all choose our time of leaving. The saying that I guess God wants to take us home is just such an unrealistic understanding of what consciousness is. We have free will, and even a child will know when it's time if they've completed their journey. And there is this agreement and contract with the parents. And oftentimes it's just to bring the parents into a consciousness of understanding what takes place. How many times have we heard how mothers and dads have suddenly become interested in spiritualism or listening to those who have passed and their messages because they've lost a child, because they're hurting so much they want those answers. I'm a person that lost my daughter, so I understand that. So from that point of view, yes, the message is we never die. We're right here. And that's the thing that my daughter used to say to me when I'd be crying the first year or two after she left. And she'd say, Mom, I'm right here. I'm right here. I don't have my suit on, I don't have my human body suit on, but I'm right here. And of course, it's very hard in a human form because we rely so much on form and touch and that interaction. Karyn says that she's had she's not only worked with those from the prayer registry, she said she has worked with others who are in different groups that you would not know because they're in other parts of the world and they're not necessarily common knowledge. She said right now, what I'm really starting to focus on after this cycle of a year that we talk about, she said, now I get to decide where I really want to put my energy most of the quote unquote time. And she said, I am between two things, staying around the world and assisting certain groups of people, or moving moving my energy beyond and moving into a different frequency and going back into a greater collective, if you will, and learning new things, and upgrading my vibrational system, bringing that into my soul family, bringing it into other worlds and other places and time, and the multi-universe. And she said, I know that sounds kind of heady, but she said, in some ways, I'm leaning towards that because I would like to be able to advance my field enough, my essence enough, that I could reconfigure it somewhat. Because, we're reconfiguring and rebirthing ourselves all the time, in or out of a form, and then come back maybe and assist the earth in the next 50 years of your earth time. And I'm not coming in, I'm not incarnating, but to help and assist because of all the things that are happening. But I want to be more advanced and bring that back. So at this time, I'm leaning towards, if you will, going back to school. That's how I would shape that to be. And then coming back, not so much as Karyn anymore, but still with that essence to come back and help the structure of change that is taking place, that all of you have been a part of in your life this time around.
Okay.
Dan?
This leads us into spiritual growth. Next category here. Talk about,
Dan?
please.
Dan?
What? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, Wendy, can we take a 5-minute break, stop the